Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about the fruits of a mindfulness practice. So what does it look like and feel like when you get to experience the benefits of your mindfulness practice? And sometimes we can kind of overlook this or expect it to be a lot grander or immediate or like this magic pill. But that's not exactly how mindfulness works. That as we're progressing, the benefits are ever kind of growing and evolving and transforming. And they don't hit, you'll have like aha moments and all of a sudden you'll feel a great shift, but they don't always hit all at once. And they continue to grow throughout a whole lifetime of practice. For however long you're practicing, you will continually be gifted with new insights, new moments of peace, new ways of relating to the world and your experiences that serve you even better. And to the point where if you had thought about it at the beginning and were expecting these results, you wouldn't have even known what to expect because you didn't know how to relate to the world in that way, or that you could relate to the world in that way, or that it would feel that peaceful. And it's like we don't even know what to expect because when we haven't experienced it, we can't even really wrap our minds around what that feels like. But that we stay aware as it's evolving through time and just keep noticing the peace that it brings us, the new perspectives that it brings us, and how those reflect out into our everyday life. And I got a little glimpse of this the other day when I was so gifted to go on a 3-day silent meditation retreat where we just sit in silence all day. We go between seated silent meditation and walking meditation, and you try to avoid even eye contact with other people, but you are doing this collectively. And there's no books, there's no writing, there's no listening to music or podcasts. You have no kind of phone connection. And doing this, this was about 10 years after I started my mindfulness practice, and about 1 year in to starting my practice, or maybe a little bit less than that actually, I did a Vipassana retreat, which was a 10-day silent meditation retreat. And that 10 days of silence felt like the hardest thing in my life. It felt like such a battle for me. Like I was going in to kind of conquer something, and I had to try really hard. It was like such an effort to sit in stillness. And when I look back on that, I think that had a lot to do with the way I was relating to the world, with what I was carrying within myself, and the tumultuous environment in my own mind. And when you sit in silence, you really, that's all you got is the contents of your mind. And that when that's really difficult, it kind of points to the fact that you don't have peace within. There's no refuge within you. That when you go into silence, it doesn't feel nice. And that's kind of a hard and sad thing to recognize, that your internal state is not a safe, peaceful place for you. And that was the truth for me in that first retreat. But when you do that and you get to sit in that silence and start recognizing the things that you're creating in your mind, that's when you have those big aha moments and the big insights. Oh, this is my perspective of the world that's creating this anxiety within me, this angst within me, this anger. And these are things that I am generating based on my perceptions or my beliefs about reality. And it's in those aha moments that then the light turns on and you say, well, these are things that I can shift myself. I can start looking at the world differently, or I don't need to hold on to this pain anymore. It's time to start transforming it. And then we use the practice to stay really aware of when those things are taking over. So when am I having this perspective that makes me relate to others in a negative way, or makes me perceive this in a harmful way, and that create these reactions within me? And we're watching mindfully for when they arise. And then we help ourselves with mindful presence to let go of those destructive mindsets and return back to present moment awareness. Return back to feeling the good here and now. Return back to taking care of ourselves in this present moment. And in the practice, it's giving you those skills to start building that peaceful refuge within you, so that when you come back to silence, you have that peaceful place to return to. And it's a healing place that you can kind of go out into the world and things disrupt you, right? They always will. That's how life is. But then you can turn inwards and look and say, how can I soothe this, make peace with this, find tranquility in what is? And you have those internal skills to be able to do that. And I got to experience that on this last retreat of, instead of feeling all this like angst or turmoil when going into silence and having to like have these kind of experiences of life that were difficult bombard you in that silence, that now you're mulling them over and trying to think through them. All I got to experience was calm. It was just peace. It was stillness and lovely. And there were things, of course, right? Because there's always things we're kind of working through or processing. There were things in my life this year that were very difficult, and so those come up. But it's held in this container of mindful, loving presence. And you've developed this container with your practice through everyday life, so that when you come back to stillness, or when you have those moments where you need to kind of hold something hard in your life, you have those internal kind of skills, you've built that internal refuge that you can come back home with these difficult experiences and hold them in your practice. Be with them in that mindfulness, so that when you are alone with them, when you are in that stillness with them, there's a peace present as well. And the love that you've developed, and the compassion and the understanding that all these things hold those experiences and make that kind of moving through the difficulty much easier, much more graceful and peaceful. And when we witness this, I got to witness it in a very big way because of this retreat and this time to go completely silent for 3 days. And I got to see the reflection of, wow, I have peace within this time. It was not scary this time. It was not hard. And that I got to see my internal refuge. But you can see that in your practice in day-to-day life. Anytime that instead of reacting, you take a breath. Anytime that instead of saying that negative thing you normally would, you reflect and respond differently in a way that would serve you. Every time that you make a choice in what you consume, whether it be, food or drink or television, and you make that choice based on love and in a way that serves you, that's a reflection of the success of your practice. And any time that you can sit wherever you are and feel completely present and feel that internal peace just for a moment, and you've created that for yourself, that's the fruits of your practice. And it just reminded me how amazing this practice is and what a gift it is in my life to create this peace within me, this awareness within me that helps you to move through difficult times. It's not saying you'll never experience the difficulty, and your life's not going to be perfect, but you have an internal refuge where you can go to find peace no matter what you are going through in everyday life. And you can use that awareness and peace to make choices that really serve you well through anything that you're going through. And that is the beautiful gift and fruit of this practice. If you enjoy these talks and would like to join our group sessions or individual coaching, please find us at newleafmindfulness.com. You can also find meditations to use on YouTube and Insight Timer. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.